Hey, what's up? It is day 7. Day 7, you guys, of the Power Skills Masterclass. And today we are going to be doing more Q&A. I have a whole list of questions here that I have received from you all. And so I'm going to be diving into the answers to these questions. And yeah, can you believe that we are already at day 7? So for those of you who are watching live, welcome. Those of you watching the replay, welcome. I am Angela W. Stillwell. I am the founder and CEO of Untapped Strengths, and I work with individuals to transform them into top 1% leaders and teams into powerhouses. And I love the work that I do with my clients. So let's dive into today's Q&A. We did some Q&A yesterday, and we got some more that we're going to do today. I saw a quote. You guys know I love my quotes. I saw a quote from one of my coaches and mentors and good friend, Bo Eason. And his quote is, you can't lose if you never quit. You can't lose if you never quit. And Bo is the epitome of that. If you've never heard his story, I encourage you, buy his book, listen to him speak. He's phenomenal when it comes to the resiliency and adaptability aspect that I have been talking about this whole week and will continue to speak to because it's so important. But you can't lose if you don't quit. What that means to me regarding these power skills is that you can't lose them. You can't lose in a situation when you are always up leveling these skills. And these skills are crucial to your leadership. All right. So let's dive into some of these questions. The first question that I got, it's an interesting question because the list is long. I'm going to give you some of them. I'm going to give you a partial answer. What are the essential power skills? What are the essential power skills? And this is similar to a question that we got yesterday. What power skills should I focus on first? And yesterday, what I said was focus on adaptability and resiliency, the AQ, right? The adaptability quotient, and then the emotional intelligence, the EQ. Those are the first two that I would focus in on. Now, look, all of these stack on top of each other. They all start meshing together. They all are part of the process of becoming a high-performing leader, period, end of story. But I'll give you a list of some of the others. Many of them we have dived into during this whole masterclass series. And let me just tell you, there's a lot more of them that I could do training just about every day for quite some time on each of the individual power skills that are necessary to be a top 1% leader. Okay. Not even to be a top 1% leader. Listen, these power skills, even if you have no desire to be a top 1% leader, even if that is not your desire, these power skills will make a difference in your family life. They will make a difference in your community life, your church life. Every relationship that you have will be impacted by these skills. And by the way, a top 1% leader doesn't mean top 1% in the world from some other outward management measurement. I'm talking about, what do you consider to be a top 1% leader, right? What do you consider to be a top 1% leader? How do you differentiate that? It's going to look different for everybody, but the top 1% that I'm talking about here really envelop and take on these various skills and make them part of their DNA, their muscle memory. All right. So I've already said EQ and AQ, conflict resolution, being able to have difficult conversations, critical thinking skills, creativity, effective leadership, easy for me to say, effective leadership strategies, and more. Look, there's a whole list of these, you guys. Communications, relationship building. Did I say that in this? Look, there are a ton of these power skills that are out there. what I encourage you to do is start somewhere. Start with adaptability and resiliency. See where your muscles are with that. How do you feel? What does that look like for you? And then go from there. Okay. All right. How do I develop these skills? Well, let's dive in, shall we? With effective leadership, if you're looking at your effective leadership, you start with some self-reflection. Have any of you ever heard of a SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats? So do a SWOT analysis of yourself. Do some journaling. What is it that works well for you? What would you like to improve upon? Okay. What are your values? What are your goals? What's your personality style? Have you ever done a personality assessment? Have you ever done Myers-Briggs or DISC or Colby or Gallup Strengths Finders? If you haven't, do them. Do them. Find out about yourself. Learn about yourself. And in learning about yourself, you also learn about others. Okay? Because when you learn whichever one it is for you, and by the way, I'm not talking about just putting labels on yourself. Because no, we all have some of all of the parts of every single assessment that's out there. It's what do you inherently lead with, though? I'm not talking about putting a label on you. Look, from a Colby standpoint, I'm a quick start. I'm a fact-finding quick start. Okay, I still have the ability to do follow-through. I still have the ability to do implementation. Are those my strengths? No, they're not. And yet, I can do them. With DISC, I'm a high D, a high I. Very low S, very low C. Those are a little harder for me to do. And yet, I can style flex so that I can operate and communicate with people who have a high S or a high C, right? So self-reflection assessments, have clear goals and a vision. How clear are your goals and your vision? And what are you doing to attain them? Are you actually holding yourself accountable to attaining your goals and your vision? Do you seek feedback? Do you actually go out and seek feedback? Everywhere, in all of your relationships. I'm not talking about just at work. Do you seek feedback at home? Do you seek feedback from your family? And when you seek that feedback, or if you just happen to get it and you haven't sought it out, I started to say seeked. If you haven't sought it out, do you take it personally? Because here's what I'm going to tell you. Taking it personally is not a good thing. That won't help you. Because then that'll hurt your feelings, and then you'll start feeling the shame and blame and guilt and that kind of stuff that I've talked about is not effective. All right? It's not effective. I'm not saying seek the feedback so that then you feel guilty, or so that then you feel shame, or so that then you can blame someone else. Not doing that at all. What I'm saying is seek the feedback so that then you can make adjustments as necessary without taking it personally. You guys, this takes practice. I'm not saying you're going to be able to go out and do this straight away if you've never done it before, but you can start. You can absolutely start. Who are some role models that you can study that are doing this? Do you have a coach? Do you have a mentor? Do you have a manager or a friend or someone who does these things regularly that you could go to and say, hey, I'm looking at really upping these skills of mine, these leadership skills of mine. What might be a great way for me to do that? And by the way, that's seeking feedback, right? All right. So I just said hire a coach or a mentor. Continuous learning. You guys, learning never stops. Never, ever, 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 ever stops. Did you get that? Did you get all those evers, never evers? Learning never stops. There's books, there's courses, there's events, there's retreats, there's coaching, there's podcasts, there's documentaries, there is a plethora of information that's out there that can help you continue to grow in these areas. And I'm encouraging you to seek it out. Seek it out so that you can continue to grow. This is not something that you just go and you learn it and you never do anything with it again. You heard me speak maybe earlier this week when I was talking about stagnation and status quo. Those are really bad, negative places to be. A stagnant pool of water just has nasty bacteria and dead stuff in it. Mosquitoes grow on it. Status quo is basically the same thing. There is no such thing as status quo because there is always change happening. Even in a stagnant pool of water, there is change happening. It's just death, right? Things are dying in a stagnant pool of water. And not that we're not dying. We're all dying one day at a time, one moment at a time. That's just part of life. From the moment that you're born, you're one day closer to your death. That's reality. We all want to go to heaven, just not today, right? So my encouragement to you is don't seek status quo, seek growth, because we get to grow in all of these. Anytime someone asks me to measure myself in a particular area on, say, a scale of 1 to 5 or a scale of 1 to 10, it is rare that I put myself at the top of whatever the scale is. If it's 1 out of 5, I don't know that I've ever done it. I don't know that I've ever given myself a 5. And on a scale of 1 to 10, I don't know that I've ever given myself a 10. Because to me, there's always room for growth. There's always opportunity to grow. And that's what I encourage you to see this as an opportunity to continually grow. All right. So continual learning, books, courses, etc. Active listening. Did you guys hear when I said active listening, how important that skill is? Really get in and learn to active listen. Listen to what is not being said. Listen to the words that they're using. Listen to understand versus reply. Here's another one that you get to do. And I don't think I've actually really spoken about this very much during this particular masterclass, but it's something that I speak to regularly with my clients. And when I'm on stage or being interviewed or whatever, is 100% responsibility 100% of the time. 100% responsibility 100% of the time. Now, listen, people do not like it when I bring that up if they have not heard that before. They don't understand it. Because they're like, what do you mean 100% responsibility 100% of the time? How can I possibly be responsible 100% of the time? How can I have 100% responsibility 100% of the time? You can. It doesn't mean that you're responsible for what has happened up to this point. It means that you are responsible for how you respond and then what your next steps are. You take ownership of where you are. Listen, I don't take responsibility for the tragic loss of my mom. That was absolutely not my fault or my responsibility. What is my responsibility, however, is that because that did happen, I get to take ownership of how I step out from there. I don't get to blame. I don't get to feel shame or guilt. I get to step into my ownership of where I go from there. Same thing with my divorce. I can say, well, it wasn't just me. No, it wasn't just me. It takes two. It takes two to make a relationship work, and it takes two for a relationship to fall apart. Okay? And I can only take 100% responsibility for what I do now, all these years later, post-divorce. 100% responsibility 100% of the time, taking ownership of where I go next, how I operate, how I respond, right? So the other thing is looking at integrity and accountability, right? Am I in integrity with my values, with my beliefs? And by the way, have I really examined what my core values are? Am I living into them? Listen, so often we say that we know what our values are, and rarely do we live into them. People say that their family is number one, and then they don't do the things that having your family as number one would include. Yeah, I'm speaking some truth here. Well, I've been guilty of it too. I've said that certain things are important to me, and then I've gone and done something else. I get it. We're human. Here's what I'm asking you to do. Check yourself. Go back, reflect. Look at your core values. Look at your beliefs. Do you still want to own those beliefs? The things that you speak to day in and day out, do you still want to lean into those beliefs? You get to choose, right? All right. So yeah. And then lastly, seek out leadership opportunities, whether it's with your work, at church, in your community, in your family. If you're young and you're watching this, what are some leadership opportunities that you can step into within your family or at school, right? As a parent, what are some of the other opportunities that you get to lean into? As a business owner, where can you expand your leadership opportunity? As a community member, where can you expand your leadership opportunity? And I'm not saying you have to do all of these. No, we all have limited time on our calendars. I'm saying seek out opportunities to continue to grow your leadership skills, right? All right. So the other question that I've gotten, some people have heard me refer to myself as a leadership coach. And there was a question about what does a leadership coach do? Every coach is going to have their own answer to this, right? Some coaches believe that they are there to give answers, and others believe that they are there just to ask questions. My clients get a little bit of both, right? So with my clients, what I seek to do is provide objective feedback, and set and assess goals. What are your goals and your vision? Let's get those set and let's start working on milestones. What is it that's keeping you from attaining those? Let's figure that out. Let's reset anything in the mind that needs to be reset so that attaining goals and visions and dreams become second nature. They're just things that you do because you've worked through the BS that's been stopping you up to this point, right? So skill building assessments, doing personality assessments, accountability, and motivation. So listen, one of the things with the accountability, a lot of my friends who are coaches will do things to hold their clients accountable. And I personally believe that's doing a disservice to their clients. As your coach, what I want you to do is to build your own accountability muscle. I will give you some places and some opportunities and some processes to start holding yourself accountable. And my goal is to coach you to a place to where you do hold yourself accountable, or you do seek out ways to hold yourself accountable in all sorts of ways. Look, I have been the person who has put stuff on my calendar for me, and then I let it slide because someone else came along and put something else on my calendar, or something that was more fun, or something that maybe was more exciting, or something that, they needed. And then I let my own stuff slide. I've done that. I'm not going to say I haven't done that. And I'm not going to say I won't do that again at some point. However, if I'm being in integrity with my goals and my visions and my dreams, then I do less and less and less of that, right? Life happens and things shift. And as I get further into my own leadership, that getting knocked off course happens less and less. Now, listen, life is going to come and throw all sorts of objections at you. Anytime that you make a declaration, an interruption is right on its heels. Period. End of story. I'll say that again. Anytime you make a declaration, interruption is right on its heels, and it's going to show up in full force to see just how much you want to lean into that declaration. All right. So yeah, part of leadership as a leadership coach is helping you build your own personal accountability muscle, right? And then role modeling and role playing, right? I get to be that role model for my clients, and I will do role playing with my clients if there's something that they're needing to work on. And we've done this around personal stuff. We've done this around dating. We've done this in relationships. We've done this with doctors. We've done this in negotiating for jobs. We've done this with employees. We've done this with you name it, right? So as a leadership coach, we get to look out across the horizon and see what is it that you need to develop your leadership. And then I get to say, I can help you with that or point you in the right direction of someone who can't, if I can't, right? So self-reflection, self-awareness, uncovering blind spots, helping growth, and celebrating achievements. Now, let me talk about why it's so important that your coach or someone works with you on celebrating your accomplishments. Listen, our brains are constantly working on a place of survival. That's how our brains operate. Our brains are created, you've heard me say this over and over and over probably, our brains are created for survival and safety. They're not created for success and thriving. So what that means is that celebrations are not part of what our brain is good at doing. It's just not. However, when you take the time to celebrate, you start training your brain to embrace those changes, to look for more of those celebrations, because when you celebrate, you produce these really good neurochemicals like oxytocin and serotonin and dopamine and some other things that are really good for your body. They're good for your health, right? So it's important that you and your coach or you and your significant other, whatever, are celebrating your achievements, right? All right. And then boosting confidence and effectiveness. Those are the biggest things that I do with my clients. That's a big list, wasn't it? All right. So then looking at enhancing communications and relationship building, what does that look like? Look, this gets applied everywhere. When you are, the question was, what does enhancing communications and relationship building, what does that include? It includes everything: personal, business relationships, intimate relationships, family relationships. It's all of it, you guys. It's all of it. Relationship building, communications. There's not a day that goes by that we don't have an opportunity to work in these areas, to improve in these areas, right? And it's some of the most uncomfortable work that there is out there. I'm not going to lie. It's some of the most uncomfortable work that's out there. There are plenty of times I still get butterflies when there's a conversation I know I need to have, right? There are still times where, it just, doesn't feel good when I know that there is something that I still have an opportunity to do. And I'm calling it an opportunity, but I'm going to tell you, it doesn't feel like an opportunity when I'm in the middle of it, right? It feels like something that I'd really like to go crawl in a hole, dig a hole and crawl in it and just like bury myself. And yet, if I do that, I'm doing a disservice to myself and the purpose that is my life. I'm doing a disservice to whomever else is involved, because there's room for them to grow as well. I'm doing a disservice to the people that I'm a role model to. I'm doing a disservice to everything that I might become and everyone that I might serve. Look, when we don't lean in to the hard stuff, then we lose tons of opportunity to become bigger, better, more amazing versions of ourselves. And that's why we're here. We're here for growth. We're here for growth. As long as you are still breathing, you still have opportunity for growth. You still have opportunity to serve. You still have opportunity to step into your purpose. Okay? So yes, it can be applied everywhere. It impacts your adaptability and your resiliency. I was just kind of talking about that, where, when you have to have a difficult conversation, and man, listen, when you don't lean into those difficulties, you back off of your adaptability, you back off of your resiliency, you become less resilient. I'm just telling you, it's not easy growing these leadership skills. It's not easy developing these power skills. It is not easy to be a high performer. It is not easy to be in the top 1%. And yet, if you're listening, I know that that's who you're wanting to be. I know that that's what you're striving for. And so what you get to do is you get to tighten up your laces, pull in your boots, pull up your big girl pants, whatever the phrase is you want to use. You have an opportunity here to lean in, and I'm encouraging you to do that. Okay. The other thing that enhanced communications and relationship building does, let's look at this from a business standpoint. It improves your bottom line. How does it improve your bottom line? Because it enhances and improves customer service, and it enhances and improves sales. I said that. I went there. It improves your bottom line because you're listening, you're communicating, you're empathizing, right? It's impacting your bottom line, I promise you, from both your teams and from your customer standpoint. And then collaboration and teamwork in the work environment and at home, okay? And at home. You can have collaboration and teamwork at home, just like you can in a work environment. And in both environments, it's better when you are leaning into your leadership, all right? So these are always, like I said, these are always ongoing opportunities for growth. And our personal fulfillment comes about through these things. So, I think I mentioned the other day about Ed Milet's definition of heaven and hell, and that heaven for him was getting to heaven and meeting the person that he could have become, and knowing that he did everything he could to become that person, right? That's heaven. And hell for him is getting to heaven and meeting that person and realizing that he had not done everything that he could. And I can totally relate to that. Listen, this whole personal fulfillment thing is super important to me. It is something that I think about regularly. It's what I design my life around. Personal fulfillment, my fulfillment in what I'm doing. And look there, you guys can see. That's part of my personal fulfillment right there. If you guys can see him sneaking around back there. Love my dogs, love my animals. And being able to have them is part of my personal fulfillment, right? Being able to have my family and my friends, that's part of my personal fulfillment. And being able to live into the person that I know I get to be, and setting that role for them and being of service to them It's part of that personal fulfillment. So, yeah, if I talk about it too much, I'll get all teary eyed, and we're getting to the end, and I don't want to get teary eyed right now. So, so yeah, when you look at how all of this interacts with your family, with clients, with where you're speaking, if you're speaking, you are speaking, by the way, whether it's one-on-one or on Zoom calls or on stage, it doesn't matter. Those are all stages. They're all stages. All, as Shakespeare said, all the world is a stage. Remember that. All the world is a stage. And by enhancing these skills, you have the opportunity to enhance your performance on that stage. Right? So, I want to go back to when I was talking about as a kid and going through my divorce. And as a kid, I had these huge dreams, and I'm getting choked up again. I had these huge dreams of what I wanted my life to look like and who I wanted to become. And I started down that path, and life can be pretty cruel sometimes, right? It just can be. And so there were things that happened, and I got sidelined a lot. And then I thought that when I got in the relationship where I got married, that was going to be it. And turned out it wasn't. We were married for 22 years. And, back to Bo's quote of, you can't lose if you don't quit. I didn't quit. Even in that, I didn't quit. Yes, the marriage ended, but I didn't quit. So I haven't lost. I still have the opportunity to have that personal fulfillment. And that's what I want for you. I want you to continue to have that personal fulfillment opportunity regardless of what's going on in your life. Yes, I have learned to connect with people. I've learned to communicate with people. I see people now that I didn't see before. I see them in ways that I didn't see them before. And I have deeper relationships with these people than I ever had before. And it's because of this work that I've done. And that's what I want with you, is to share that with you. So here's what I'd love for you to do. If you've not yet signed up for the recordings, you still have an opportunity. You'll get both the video recordings and the audio and a workbook as a bonus, because at the end of this series, the recordings are going to come down from online, but you'll have access to them if you're signed up through a portal, a password protected portal. And you can get signed up by going to the Linktree link that you can see on the screen. It's linktree/AW Stillwell, linktr.ee/AWSTILLWELL. And what I would love to do also, if you're up for it, it's something that I love doing, is connecting with the people that that follow me, and whether you're clients or you just have some questions about something, or you just want to share, I would love to do a connection call with you. And you can get scheduled for a connection call at that same link. When you look at the link, it's going to open up, and there's going to be a lot of different things on there. By the way, you can subscribe so that anytime I put updates on there, you get information about the updates. But the first button is going to take you to sign up for the recordings and the bonuses. And then the second button, I believe it's the second button, is to schedule a connection call with me. And it's only 30 minutes. We'll just get to know each other. We'll talk about what's going on with you. And yeah, and if I can help in any way, I'll help you too. So yeah, go do that and have a great remainder of your Sunday. You guys, I can't believe that we are wrapping up day 7. Tomorrow we'll be back. It'll be Monday, and we will be back live at noon Eastern for our final 2 days of the 9-day Power Skills Masterclass. Thank you so much, and I will see you then.